Welcome back to the Knit Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today I'm going to show you how to change the yarn color when it's at the end of the row, just like so. We're going to do another tutorial of what happens if you run out mid-row, especially when doing Afghan work. So I'm going to just use my example here. I was showing the garter stitch and the stocking knit stitch, but now I want to change my color. So let's just say, for example, I ran out of this color, and you can use any color. So if you're just using the same color and doing the same process, it doesn't matter. The color is irrelevant. So what I want to do is that I want to make sure that I leave about 10 inches of yarn left at the end, and all I'm just going to do is snip it. So if this was almost running out at the end, you can just snip it, or if you're running out of yarn, you can just do the same thing. Just make sure there's about 10 inches of yarn there. So what I want to do is that I want to start off with the next color right away, and this tail is going to be important because we're going to use a darning needle at the end to be able to weave it in and out so that you'll never see this particular this particular yarn strand. So what I want to do is that I want to take the next color, and I want to leave about equal amount of yarn that's left over, so about up to 10 inches. And all I'm just going to do is that I'm going to start off with that yarn to begin. So let's just do the knit stitch. Okay, so let's do this here. So actually, in actual fact, I'm going to do this as a purl stitch because I'm going to maintain the pattern here. So this here is that when I go to start it, instead of using the yarn that I already have, I want to start the yarn that I want to change to. Notice that there's no slip knots or anything. Okay, it's just a loop, and I want to use that, and I want to put the loop around the knitting needle. So I'm just going to flick it back like I would with the purl, and the very beginning one is going to be really loose. You see that here. So what I want to do is that I want to start on to the next one right away, and I want to stabilize things. This here will be secured afterwards, so you don't need to worry about that too much. And I want to drop the strand that is leading to the end of the ball out of the way, and I only want to work with the strand that's leading to the yarn ball. So let's begin to purling as normal. So if this was the knit stitch, you'd still do the same thing. So I want to use that strand to go around. So I want to do a few more of these purls, and if yours is a knit, then you just do a few more, and then you can just come back and kind of tighten things up at the front end of where things are. So you're going to need a darning needle to kind of secure them at the end in order to kind of get them to be stable at the end, but you just want to just kind of knit as normal, so there's no change. And I'm just using the orange color here to do so. So I'm just working my way across. Just like that. And so it depends how far you really want to go. If you're doing an Afghan, you might want to stop midway and just kind of look at things. So let's turn it around. So you can see now that the orange is now ready to go. So right at the very starting here, everything's a little bit loose. So you just want to keep things nice and tight. And there's suggestions online that you can just kind of secure it, but you can actually just start securing things if you wanted to as well. So you can take the blue one here, and all you can just do is just get a darning needle, and the darning needle will help stabilize this thing, and you're going to need to do it anyway. So you just get a darning needle and feed the yarn through. Now because this is knit and purl work, the one side chances are will be this is the wrong side and this is the good side here. So I'm taking only the blue, and I want to kind of stabilize it, and I want to just travel on the fibers that are just on this side of the work. So I don't ever want to dare go through the front side. If I turn it around and I see that needle in the front, you know that you're going to see this in the front, so you don't want to do that. So you want to go back and forth a total of 3 times in a row. So just going across, and when you go to do that, you want to kind of get this first string to be relatively the same size of the rest of it. Okay, and then you're going to go back in the other direction. Now you don't have to do this right away. You can wait a few rows in order to tighten things back up, but you just got to really watch that first loop right there. So you're going to go back a second time, and then go back a third time. And again, I'm staying on the back side of the work when doing this process. So the blue is now officially done, and so I can just safely cut that down into the project like this. Okay, so you barely see it even on the back side, and you should not see it on the front side when you go to do that. So all you're just going to do now is taking that same yarn that we're working with here, and what we want to do is that we want to begin. So this side is that we're doing the knit stitch because we're doing the stocking knit. So let's just grab our knitting needle and we continue on with the new yarn just like so. So if you run out of the blue and you want to reattach another yarn, that's how you do it. You don't want to ever create knots. I used to do that as a kid when I was changing yarn. As much as you want to be careful, the knot always seems to find its way to the side that you don't want people to see. So this will be a nice clean line of transferring from one color to another, and once I get a few more rows of the orange, what I'll do is I'll go back and then I'll stabilize that beginning tail with the darning needle to trap it into position. But as I get back there now and it's still kind of loosely on the needle, I want to just make sure I tighten things up before I do it so that everything stays nice and balanced like so. Okay, so the last one is it. Okay, so I want to kind of just make sure it looks tight, it looks consistent like the other one, and just knit as normal. Okay, so you see it's still loose here. So when I go to turn it around like so, you still see it's hanging. So what I want to do is that when I go to put a darning needle, I'm gonna put it through the orange section here on the back side and then continue as normal then to be able to secure it down. Okay, so this is how you would change color on the end of a row. So I'm gonna do another tutorial on how to change color mid-row, or if you run out of yarn at mid-row, I'm gonna show you how to be able to do that as well because it's slightly different than what you see here. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Knit Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com.